It was a damp and dreary day on the island of Sodor.
Oh, blasted rain. Right, let's go.
Stop slipping! Come on! Thank goodness! Phew.
The rainy season had arrived. Everywhere was wet, wet, wet. It made life cold, soggy, and miserable. The rails were slippery, and trains often ran late. The engines didn't care much for this kind of weather. All except one. Duck loved charging through the rain with his two coaches, Alice and Mirabelle. The rough waves crashing along the shore was a thrilling sight. "This is fantastic," said Duck proudly as he traveled down the Little Western. As he enjoyed the feeling of water pelting his face and side tanks, Duck also felt the responsibility of his trains deeply. "Rain or shine, I'll get there on time. That's the Great Western way," he would say, although much to the others' annoyance. You know, it is a bit ironic that Duck's the one who likes all this water, Oliver chuckled. "And what's that supposed to mean?" snapped Duck. "Oh, dunna fash yourself, Duck. It just means you're in your natural habitat. Perhaps you'd like to join yon Dilly for a swim in her pond." The other engines laughed hysterically. And with that, Duck went grumpily to sleep, without even saying goodnight. Dilly the duck loved the rain too. She waddled around her station and ruffled her feathers for a bath. Donald is Dilly's favorite engine, and she quacked with delight every time he stopped by. Dilly liked Oliver and Douglas too, but she never quite liked Duck. Perhaps it was because they were both technically ducks. Or, more likely, it was because Dilly hadn't forgiven Duck's crew for putting her in Donald's tender as a practical joke. Hello, Dilly. Nice weather we're having." "Oh, well that's a fine how do you do. Go quack yourself too."
Duck, don't say such things. That's rude.
She started it.
Duck and his crew tried to be kind to Dilly. They even offered her food.
"I got you some kippers, freshly caught, nice and salty. Come here, Dilly. Come on, Dilly."
But it was no use. Eventually, Duck decided to just leave Dilly alone. And she did the same. One stormy afternoon, Donald was puffing down the line with a goods train. The rain was fiercer than ever. Donald had to stop at the middle station to let Oliver pass with Isabel and Dulcie. But when he arrived, he was surprised not to see Dilly anywhere.
"Dilly! Dilly! Quackaroo!
That's strange. It's not like her to be gone. I hope she's alright. It's a fierce storm today. When the line was clear, Donald set off once more. The coastal run was beyond pleasant. The harsh, icy wind stung Donald's eyes. I wish I could see. I wish I could see, he complained. He made it to the end of the line safely. Then he turned around for a return trip. The weather only seemed to grow worse. He traveled on for another mile before his driver noticed something white beside the track.
Whoa, Donald!
He exclaimed and shut off steam.
Hey, why are we stopping?
Donald soon found out.
Dilly? What's wrong?
The driver and fireman got down from the footplate and rushed over to Dilly. Come here, lass. Let me have a look at you. Oh dear, young Dilly's wings hurt. Let's get her back to the cab.
Right.
Dilly was happy to be out of the rain, but her wing was limp, and she couldn't flap it at all. Do we have time to go get her some help? Asked Donald. The driver shook his head.
Afraid not, old boy. The nearest veterinarian's back at Knapford, and we cannot turn round now. These goods are urgent for Arlesdale.
Donald felt dismayed. He didn't know what to do. Then suddenly, a loud whistle in the distance shook him back to reality. It was Duck, coming out of the tunnel with a ballast train. Donald, what's wrong?
Oh, Doc, thank goodness you're here. It's Dilly. She's hurt, real bad.
Donald's crew quickly explained the situation.
Could you take her on to Knapford, please?
Asked Donald with feeling. Duck was hesitant at first, but when he saw how helpless Dilly looked, he knew he must help. I'd be glad to, Donald, he smiled. With Dilly passed over to Duck's crew, the two engines whistled goodbye. Duck made quick work of the journey. His crew made Dilly as comfortable as possible, and even offered her a snack, to which she reluctantly nibbled on. At last, Duck made it to the big station, and his driver whisked Dilly away to the veterinarian. A few days later, an anxious Donald sat at Dilly's station.
I hope Dilly's alright. I couldn't abide going.
Hello, Donald.
Dilly, you're okay.
Oh, it wasn't as bad as we thought. Just a little bruise. She'll be all right.
Okay. Thank you, Duck. I don't know what I'd do without my quackaroo. How can I ever thank you?
Dilly answered that question for Donald. She waddled over to Duck's driver and fireman. Then, reaching under her wing, plucked out 2 large white feathers. Well, would you look at that?
Thank you, Dilly.
The men took the feathers from her beak and placed them in each other's hats.
Well, don't you two look dapper.
Cheers, mate. Well, well, well. It seems like Dilly's finally warmed up to you, Duck.
Duck chuckled. I am glad. Nowadays, whenever Duck stops at the middle station, Dilly greets him just as she would any other engine. And of course, his driver and fireman always pay their dues from their lunchboxes. Whenever Dilly was alone, she would love to quack and squawk loudly. And sometimes whenever Duck saw her in the pond, he would quack back too.